Hey guys, welcome into another edition of the Coach's Corner Show, presented as always by PES. Wade Neely here alongside Bobcats head coach David O'Connor. Coach, let's dive right in. We're here at the Brickyard. Last Friday night, awfully tough loss for the Bobcats against Page. We knew it was going to be a tough one. It was a nail-biter. The Cats lose on a late field goal.
Tough game. Just one of those. It was a really bitter pill to swallow. End of the game, you felt like it was a game we should win, and we didn't. It's just sometimes it turns out that way. Sometimes life turns out that way. Things you think is going to be for sure, you don't always get.
We'll break it down. Let's talk offensively first. There were some positives for Giles County. You put up 35 points. You tied the ball game on a late touchdown drive from quarterback John Bacchus. He throws for over 450 yards. In the modern era, if not all time, that's a program record. It's
pretty good football. John had a really good night throwing the football. Our receivers did a good job of getting open. And for the most part, we protected the quarterback. We ended up giving up 2 sacks. And actually, they got a lot more pressure with the 3-man rush that I'd hoped they would get. But it was adequate. We put up a lot of yards. I felt like we didn't get as many points out of those yards as we needed to get out of it.
Why was that? Was that an issue of penalties, focus? What can you attribute that to after you maybe watch it on tape?
Well, we had a couple 3 drives. We ended up turning over on downs. We didn't get plays we need to get. You know, when we get a fourth and a half a yard, we don't get a first down there. And I felt like the officials kind of held us up a little bit on that one by not letting us snap that ball early. And of course, they're doing what they're supposed to do. And we were hoping to get that thing snapped before they got lined up.
You watched the tape on John. How impressive was he? Again, there's been some good quarterbacks over the years. Obviously, we talked about Bo Wallace and Al Cobb. Those guys maybe didn't play quite into deep third and fourth quarters, so their records maybe a little bit diminished, but 450-plus passing yards, that's good for any level of football.
You're not kidding. That's almost a spectacular for any level, to be honest with you.
No doubt. And 2 of those big plays, let's go into some particular scoring plays here. Cats get the ball. They march 80 yards, 14-play drive. How efficient was that drive for the Cats? They chewed up almost half the first quarter.
It was really good. You know, I felt like we didn't do as well a job or as good a job of running the football as I'd hoped we'd do early in the game. A lot of that's attributed. I think Page's defensive line and linebackers did a really good job of fitting the run.
The guys not maybe able to run the ball, so what do? You go to the screen play. Second drive offensively, Arkell rips off a 70-yard plus screen play, one of the longest plays from scrimmage all season. Got to work in the offense. The Cats are able to put 14 points up early. How do you grade after the first quarter? You're looking?
First quarter, I was feeling really good, and our offense was feeling really good. And I was really feeling really good about our defense. You know, even the whole first half, our defense gave up 1 scoring drive, played with some unfavorable field position, and still controlled the game. I felt like defensively, for the most part, we played a really good game.
Go into the third drive now. The Cats are up, and you have a big, nice play to Brandon Rowan. He had over 120 receiving yards. A big night for him. The game potentially changes a little bit late in the first half. You guys elect to kick a long field goal. Walk us through that sequence. There was actually shades of Chris Davis, the old Auburn return man. He returns it all the way. Cruz Kerrigan for Page returns a kick 99 yards.
A kick 6, you want to call it. Just a tough play. You know, we rolled Jed out there to make that field goal, and we got a little bit of wind to our back, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Jed had made a couple 52-yarders the week before in practice, and I'm thinking this is something, you know, at worst, we're going to put the ball in the end zone. They're going to get the ball back out at the 20 with a couple seconds left. You know, my thought process was that, you know, we can go for this. We can try to get a little closer. We're out of timeouts. If we get something out in the field, we won't be able to stop and take a shot at a field goal. Or we can go ahead and take a shot at it with something that I think is manageable with him. He just didn't get a good foot onto it, and you know, a lot of that there might have been a little timing off of the snap and all that type of thing. But at the end of the day, we've got to at least knock the guy out of bounds, not let him run back 99 yards. You know, we got a 30-something yard head start on the guy out in front of him. You know, we can't let that happen.
Sounds like confidence was there in the kicking game for sure. That's one way to look at it. You guys were very confident in rolling the kicker out, Jedediah Jenkins.
Oh, yeah, Jedediah. I mean, he's made some big kicks for us, and I'm still expecting big things out of Jedediah. You know, he has improved from the beginning of the season to this point as much as anybody. And if we're going to win big, close games, you know, we've got to be able to make those kind of kicks.
More on him. He had the game tying at the point, extra point later in the ball game. But let's go second half now. Page kind of has got some momentum, and the crowd maybe a little deflated. But the Cats' defense comes right back out. They get the Patriots off the field again, and the Cats are able to score. You go up by 14 again in the third quarter.
You know, and at that point, I'm thinking we need to try to put this game on out of reach. And, you know, if we can get one more good defensive stop right here with this next series, you know, we're going to be in good shape. But if we come out offensively, and I think that may be the point that we had of a 4th and short, and we go for it with a wedge play, and we don't get it on 4th down and a half a yard or something, they end up I don't think they drove it and scored, but that gave them a lot of momentum.
They start kind of clicking in the pass game. How critical was that secondary, I should say, kind of faltered at times a little bit, allowed some big plays downfield from the Patriots?
Well, we had 3 big busts in the game. Defensively, other than those 3 busts, I thought we played really well all night. And unfortunately, those 3 busts cost us 3 touchdowns defensively. And other than those 3 touchdowns, I'll tell you, it was about as good a night as you could have defensively. And those guys that gave those busts, you know, those were some of the guys we were playing both ways. And, you know, when you're rolling up 450 yards of receiving offense, and those guys were part of that, you know, you're going to get a little tired, and hopefully we're going to work on that this week.
And as Page rattles off 21 answered, you get the ball back late in the game. You've got number 7 back there. John marches the offense right down the field. He finds Peyton Hall right in the corner of that end zone over there for a game-tying touchdown. How impressive was that drive, not just from John, but from also your receivers who continued to just make big catch after big catch?
Oh, that's just something I expect out of those guys. That's the one thing. When we turn the ball over or have to punt the ball, I feel like we failed on offense. We've got too many weapons offensively for us not to be successful every series.
Finally, Page gets the ball back. We know they've got a terrific kicker. He's going to go to the University of Tennessee. What was the defensive strategy trying to limit Page to keep them out of field goal range on that final drive?
We were in a more of a nickel-type defense, trying to keep everything in front of us, not allow a big play on a pass. And holy cow, they did a really good job of really running the football right at us, and it made it tough on us.
You mentioned running the ball. Bubba Johnson, their freshman running back. Not too often you see a ninth grader run in and run against a defense that's got some size like Giles County. How impressive was the tailback?
He was really impressive. A really hard-nosed, strong, physical kid. That's the best. That's the part about it. You know, he's not one of those guys that was going to outrun you to the outside, but he's just going to man up, run right at you.
It was a tough loss for the Cats. When you look at Page, though, we always know how crafty and tough they are. How do you evaluate them? The Patriots could be a tough out for somebody in the playoffs.
Oh, they are, and they've still got an outside shot at winning the whole district or region. They play Marshall County next week in the district championship or region championship game.
Final takeaways. It was a tough loss against the Patriots. What other than John, what other positives did you see?
Oh, a lot of positives. We had 0 turnovers. You know, we got really unfortunate on a punt return one time, where a guy turns just in time to get hit in the head with a football. But no turnovers, took care of the football pretty well. And like I said, other than 3 plays, I thought we played much better defensively.
Injuries, any to speak of last week?
No, again, we come out of the game healthy, and that's a big thing. You know, there's a lot of teams at this point of the season are really beat up. Fortunately, we're not.
Coach, Cats now looking like they're going to be solidly that number 3 seed in the region, which means, unfortunately, going to go on the road for at least the first round, if not a couple rounds. We'll talk more on Signal Mountain, who's the opponent this week, but what did you say to your team after such a tough emotional loss in regard to the playoffs?
Hey, just keep your head up, keep fighting. I mean, all our goals are still ahead of us. You know, we would have liked to host that first round at home, but you know, we're going to have to play all those same teams regardless of where we finish. You know, you're going to have to play good football teams and beat good football teams in that 5-round playoff, and it's just a different opponent.
Going to Chattanooga this week, and we'll come back on the other side of this timeout with Signal Mountain, but going to be a wild trip this week. You got your bags packed? You ready to go?
Not quite yet, but we're starting to get there. Now, that's one good thing about going to Signal Mountain this week. We're calling this week a practice for the playoffs. You know, we're getting to do the same packages, packing the same organization that we're going to have for the first round of the playoffs.
Good deal. We'll be in the Eastern time zone on Friday night, and we'll preview Signal Mountain when we come back on the other side of this timeout. This is the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES.
Here in Tennessee, when opportunity knocks,
First Farmers is here.
A full-service bank with deep roots.
First Farmers is here.
Loans to help businesses grow and families plan for the future.
First Farmers is here.
The technology you need to manage your personal finances.
First Farmers is here.
As Middle Tennessee continues to grow, First Farmers, we're here.
I've got my closest friends over to watch the game on cable. Did you know you can advertise your local business during this cable program? Via Media represents the advertising for your cable system. They could put a TV commercial for you right here on this system during this show. Let Via Media help you. Call Via Media today or viamediatv.com.
I'm a weekend warrior, and soccer is one of my passions. But when I sprained my ankle, I thought that was all over. But I went to Benchmark Physical Therapy. I was treated with manual therapy. My progress was measured each step of the way. I put in the time, the reps, the work to get my ankle ready for anything. So now, it's like it never happened.
Heads up, Giles County, this Friday night, it's the Martin Methodist College 4th Annual Red Hawk 5K Glow Run at the East Campus. It's Pulaski's only night race, and it's your chance to get ready, get set, and glow. Come glow with us this Friday at the East Campus. Registration is set for 8 p.m., and the race kicks off at 9. Once again, it's Pulaski's only night race, the 4th Annual Martin Methodist College Glow Run. For more information or to register, please visit us online at www.goredhawks.com.
At the Giles County Courthouse, judges and juries make decisions every day that significantly affect people's lives. Juries may decide who goes to the penitentiary. Judges may choose which parent will raise children. Both could decide how your heirs share in your property. If you are confronting any of these difficult legal issues in your life or business, please allow the experienced lawyers at Andrew Hoover and Attorneys to be with you at every important step.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sam Davis Park. Wade Neely here alongside Bobcats head coach David O'Connor. Second half of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES. Coach, bags are packed this week. We're going to the Eastern Time Zone, Signal Mountain. These teams look like we were going to play for a number of years in the playoffs, never came to fruition. We're going to finally meet Friday night over in the Eastern Time Zone.
That's right. It's a big game for us, something that we need to try to get a little momentum going for the playoffs. And but it's going to be a tough draw. They're a good physical, run-oriented offense. They play a lot of kids both ways. I mean, it'll be a tough draw. It's
going to be a tough draw for the Cats, but as you alluded to in our first segment here, kind of a preview of the playoffs. Given the way the schedule is broken down, the Cats are going to be on the road in that week one of the postseason. This is a pretty good opportunity to kind of hone in on that.
That's right. We can practice our playoff, I guess, organizational skills, I guess, best to say it. We get to get prepared. We're going to leave Friday, probably around lunch, make that drive over. We'll eat again over there at about 4 o'clock there at the school and get ready to play football.
It's going to be fun Friday night. Let's talk a little X's and O's about the Eagles. You mentioned run. You said not only do they run, they like to run heavy, and they like to run in kind of different formations.
Oh, they like to load up in different power formations to run the football. They'll be in anything from the Notre Dame box to the full backfield, snapping the ball, quarterback run. I mean, it's almost gimmicky run type offense, but it's really successful for them.
Is it anything that the Cats have seen, or what's the closest comparison you can maybe make?
We have not seen it. The closest thing I've seen would probably be us when we line up in our sniffer packages or something of that nature with 2 tight ends.
Yeah, that being said, how did the Cats approach this week of practice defensively? How do you kind of prepare for something that this late in the season you really haven't seen just yet?
We got to make sure we come out, we're physical, and again, just like no matter where they line up, we still got to be gap sound defensively, and if we are, then we'll be all right.
Let's talk the other side of the matchup. Offensively, you expect the Cats to put points on the board. You expect to cap every drive with a touchdown or at least a field goal if you have to. What do you see on tape from the defense of Signal Mountain?
I think they're really active defensively. Their front guys get after you, and they're not afraid. They've got athletes on the back end to play man coverage, and they're not afraid to play some zero coverage, as a matter of fact, and bring one more than you can protect with.
When you say zero coverage, how excited does John Bacchus and Coach Flippo, the offensive coordinator for Giles County, get?
Right now, Coach Flippo's over at the school kind of salivating. He's excited about just getting the opportunity to go against that.
It's going to be an exciting game. You mentioned, let's go back to the page, front 4, or even front 3 at times. How strong and how successful were they, and how does Signal Mountain's defensive line compare?
They're not quite as physical, but they're probably more athletic. I think they're watching Page right now on video, us versus Page, and they're thinking, we can put a 3-man front. We're going to be able to get pressure on them just like they did. Hopefully we can correct some of those things in protection-wise, and we can make them pay for it.
Run game, how important is it going to be to get that reestablished this week?
Must get that reestablished. We had a good day of practice on working it yesterday, and got to get Arkell and make sure they know who Arkell Reed is early in the game.
Not just Arkell, we also saw Cameron Harrison and some other guys get involved. Tanner Holly in the sniffer package, like you alluded. Are these some wrinkles we're going to still keep seeing as the season goes on?
We'll roll a little bit of them in every week. We've always got some type of power game, short yardage run package that we'll get into, and I'd say probably this week we'll be back in the stack eye with 1 or 2 plays out of the sniffer set if the need be arises.
So if we're going to reestablish run, we probably won't be seeing 450 plus passing yards again from John on Friday.
I sure hope not. I hope we don't get ourselves in a position, to where we have to throw as much. But that being said, I think that's always a possibility when you got a quarterback with a good arm and 4 or 5 good receivers out there.
You mentioned 4 or 5 good receivers. Went and looked at the stat sheet. Did John not complete? He completed passes to 10 different receivers. Was that right last week? How impressive is it to be able to just have that dispersing ability at the quarterback position?
That's really impressive. The fact that he's got enough confidence in those people to throw him the football, and that tells you a little bit about what Coach Carter, Coach Duncan, those receiver coaches do to get those guys ready to play every week.
Intangibles, finally, Signal Mountain. Any concern about getting your team ready for that long kind of bus ride? We know it can be tricky at times.
That's always a concern, just when you're working with young 16, 17, 18-year-old young men, you never know where their mindset is, and then to make a 2.5-hour drive over and in the last 7 miles almost straight up a mountain, it'll be pretty tough. We'll
be sitting high atop Signal Mountain on Friday. What matchup are you most excited about without giving too much away for Giles County this week?
I'm really excited about our offensive line and maybe what we can do in the run game. I'm excited to see us try to establish a run game, which is going to open up our pass game.
If the Cats are able to run the ball, it sounds like they have a good chance to win on Friday.
We'll have a shot, and that being said, our front 8 on defense, you're going to have to be able to match up with those big hogs they got up front, and they got a pretty powerful running game themselves.
Let's dabble outside a little bit, at least, of the high school scene. This is going to be a fun week for you guys, though, for another reason. Big college game going on in Chattanooga on Saturday. A former Bobcat's going to be out on the field. Mr. Al Cobb at Virginia Military Institute. He's going to be in Chattanooga this weekend.
That's right. Some of us are going to try to stay over after the game and possibly and go over and watch Al play on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. And anytime if you've ever been around Al Cobb, and you have, you know what type of quality person he is, and just a great young man, and he's a positive influence on everybody's life he touches, and I'm really excited to go see him compete, because he really competes at a high level.
We've talked about John, record-setting performance last week, but we mentioned Bo, of course, but Al, he's the real deal. He's an all-around great guy. How excited are you to see him he's had tremendous success at VMI, individually at least, in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah, this week will be a tough game for him. I mean, UTC's a really good opponent in that level, and Division I AA. They had a tough one last week with Sanford. Now they're going to UTC. It's tough football in the Southern Conference they play in. But Al steps up to the challenge pretty much every week. He put up great numbers last week. They just come up a little short.
So we've even seen him. He was at practice in preseason camp, kind of helping the Bobcats get ready. Like you alluded to, kind of just speaks to the quality of individual this guy is.
He is such a great young man. He was a great young man when he was here, and he's still a great young man. And having people like that or young men like that come back and see us that have been part of the program, it's a real blessing.
Good deal. Well, Coach, that's about all the time we've got, but it's going to be a fun one Friday. We got our bags packed. I'm expecting to make the trip with you guys. Hopefully we'll survive the trip atop Signal Mountain this Friday night.
Well, for last I heard, the place is on fire over there. We hope that they get that fire with a little rain coming up later in the week. Hopefully that fire's put out. We can bring our own fire to the top of the mountain.
Good deal. Coach, best of luck as always. We'll see you on Friday night.
Appreciate it, Wade.
That's all the time we've got. We've been presented as always by PES. This is the Coach's Corner Show. That's Bobcats head coach David O'Connor, and I'm Wade Neely. So long. Remember, Bobcats versus Signal Mountain this Friday on the road. We'll be back here at the Brickyard next Friday against Tullahoma. We'll see you next week on the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES.